Certain firefighters made calls to their families because they weren't sure they were going to make it out of that situation. For them to then be blamed, had that building been cladded properly, that fire wouldn't have spread like the way it did. Hi, hello. Hi.
Oh, it's so lovely to meet you.
Alice.
Look at you, nice to meet you, Alice. I'm Jo.
Nice to meet you. When did you join the fire service? Nice, easy question to start.
Actually, it's nice and easy, isn't it? But it's a very long time ago. So it was 1982 and I was 17 years old. And it was the first time Norfolk Fire Service had done junior firefighter course.
I joined just under 2 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in fact 2 years ago next week. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated uni, and then I knew I wanted to help people and do something different every day and do something active, and it's nice to be part of like a small, nice little team. And this was always something I wanted to do, but to me it was always, you know, the boys get to do it. It's the boy job, they play with the toys and they fight the fires and they save people's lives. And yes, I didn't really see any female firefighters growing up, and then one day I thought, you know, why not? Try it, I might not get in. If I don't, I'll try again. And then as soon as I got in, I realised I didn't want to do anything else. That was it for me.
How many women were there with you in training?
There's 27 of us on our training school, and then 5 of us were girls.
And did you all get through?
Yeah.
That's brilliant,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I was the first female firefighter in the UK.
In the whole of the UK?
Yeah.
I feel like I should have known about this. That's incredible.
I didn't join the job to be able to go, oh, I was the first female firefighter. I wanted a salary to get my own door key to be independent, you know. In those days, we had to have all our hair kind of cut, so no makeup, nothing.
Yeah.
So I looked like a boy all the time, and I was always being mistaken for a boy. Even one old lady rang up her niece and she was like, oh, we just had these lovely firefighters in, or firemen she would call them, firemen in, they put my chimney fire out, and one of them is so handsome, and she was looking straight at me and I'm like, oh no, she thinks I'm a man, because I did look like a young man.
Handsome, I mean, that's definitely
handsome young man.
What is the strangest reason you've come across for a fire starting?
It would be something where you get there and they shouldn't have been doing whatever they were doing.
You get some strange excuses. We had one that was a candle, like a tea light. It's because a guy he was trying to do something nice for his girlfriend who was about to come home. She had a bad day, and he was like, he put some candles on, he cleaned the flat, and they didn't have a holder for it, so they just had it on their kitchen worktop, and it burnt through the worktop all the way through, and burnt through the top of the washing machine, and literally the kitchen went up. They just got the whole kitchen, just from a tea light sitting on the kitchen worktop. And bless him, he burned like his hands and his feet trying to sort it out. And she came home and the door was broken down because of us. And obviously we were like, oh, yeah, clothes have been on fire in your kitchen. Most of the time we tend to see phone chargers, like faulty phone chargers or cheap phone chargers or unofficial ones. That's every house fire I've been to pretty much.
Wow.
That's how it started, of people charging their phones on their bed and just leaving it to it. And e-cigarettes as well, that's a big thing. What's the hardest thing about being a firefighter?
Oh, going into something that is very difficult to handle, where you've got maybe people that you can't help for whatever reason, if you're too late, perhaps if it's an RTA, road accident, or you get to a fire and it's too late. And also you know the impact that it's going to have to those people's families, don't you?
It's the chance that you could do something that's not going to help. The feeling of sort of weighing up endangering yourself and everyone else, but with the chance that you can get someone out of it, is a really hard battle to have. And you know if it goes wrong, it's on you. But if it goes right, you've saved someone's life. So it's a sort of, is it the right thing to do, or is it the professional thing to do? And it's a real hard balance to find, yeah.
Problem is you can't carry it because you don't know what the next job is going to be. So you've got to go, do it, get it out and carry on.
Quite recently, actually, we had a couple of suicides of firefighters, which has been really hard, and it's no one I knew, but my gaffer knew one of them very well. And firefighters generally, I get on very well with, because I think they're all very similar, very good people. So knowing that it's someone else in that position and they didn't have anyone to speak to about it, or they didn't feel capable of carrying on, is a very strange feeling, I think, for everybody, whether they met them or not. How has Grenfell changed things?
Oh gosh, that's a big question, isn't it? What did it feel like to be in the fire service like the day after Grenfell, having, you know, kind of watched it?
My first thought, which is probably a very selfish first thought, is what would I have done in that situation? Of like can you do anything? And these people have, like, they were in breathing apparatus, climbing however many floors, and then trying to explain that to people of like how much it weighs, like the kit and the you know, like the high-rise packs and everything like that you've got to carry up. The kit they were carrying, and they were climbing over people and black stairwells and smoke logged and not even in BA yet, and it's a horrible a thought to imagine it. But I know I remember seeing a picture of people sat outside who'd already been in twice in breathing apparatus. And obviously now the regulations are you're meant to have a break before you go in again. And I remember seeing a picture of them just starting up again and going in again with a fresh cylinder. Someone was changing one on their back just so they could go back in again. And it's been in that kind of situation. You just want to get in and get out as many people as you can. There was that documentary about, was it the fire service's fault? And I remember being so angry when I saw it and so hurt by it. I know people that had made calls to their families because they saw it and went, we're not coming out of this. Certain firefighters made calls to their families because they weren't sure they were going to make it out of that situation. And to me, for them to then be blamed, had that building been cladded properly, that fire wouldn't have spread like the way it did. So it's a very strange thing of, I know that we could have handled it, but we would have handled it the exact same way they did. It's guidelines and regulations you've got to follow. But I think being there and seeing that and seeing people losing things and losing their lives and not knowing where anyone is such a horrible, horrible position to be in. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I don't think I'd ever be okay seeing something like that. No. And I know there are serving firefighters who are obviously still recovering from it and still out of work from it, and it's just unimaginable.
No, you never recover, would they? What are some common misconceptions of women in the fire services?
I think the main thing's the strength, that we're not as strong as the men, which, you know, biologically we're not. Physically, it's harder for us to build up that strength, but the misconception that we can't do it because of that always winds me up. We've had to pass the same tests, we've had to pass the same physical standards, and not one of the girls that I have worked with has ever struggled. My best friends in the job, a couple of those are female, and they are some of the best firefighters I've ever worked with. The general impression is that men are assumed that they can do it and women are assumed that they can't, so we have to prove ourselves again and again and again, which I really struggled with at first because I'm always trying to prove myself and I hate being bad at things, but I'll always put myself forward to do it, to prove I can. And something everyone will say, but you don't go into the fires, do you? You don't go to the jobs, surely? Yeah, my gender doesn't mean I can't go into a burning building. Nowadays, telling people, say, on a night out or meeting guys or trying to flirt, and you tell them you're a firefighter, and that's a very different reaction. That's a very like a, oh, okay, and then a immediate conversation killer.
And my mum and dad were very positive about it. My mum's a really, you know, kind of strong woman. There's not a question as to whether you can do something, you just go and do it, you know. Only person I had a problem with was my stepfather. His brother was a firefighter in a nearby town, and he was like, she'll never be able to put a man over her shoulders. And he put this in all the local paper. It's like,
oh my gosh.
It's like, yeah, watch me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Was it part of it, do you think? Because sort of, I'm going to prove him wrong now.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
What skills have you learned during your service that have served you in life?
I'd say it's made me a lot more confident, a lot more resilient. There's not been a day that's gone by where I've not looked forward to going to work. It's just, you know, if you see it as messing about with your mates and having a lovely time while still getting the job done, it's the best job in the world. It's exactly what you make it.
As a job, it's so much fun, isn't it?
I can't believe we get paid to do this job.
It. I know.
It's just the best. Has it made you a bit of an adrenaline junkie, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really lovely to meet you.
Take care.
You too.
There's a knock on the door. I open the door and there's a bunch of people standing there, none of them in uniform. One of them pulls out a gun, pushes it to my head. I know my family, my wife and kids are in the other rooms, and I tell them, please leave them alone.